Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Mindy here. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and you're off to the start of a great week. Today I wanted to talk about some fragrances that I recently brought into my collection. A couple of them I have sampled before, a couple of them I have not, but I find all of them to be lovely fragrances. A couple of them are a little sexy, which I think a lot of people will like. And so without further ado, let's get started. So the first fragrance that I'll talk about is The Only One Intense by Dolce & Gabbana. And to be honest with you, I was worried about sampling this fragrance. I had heard so many people speak of this one, and so many people absolutely loved it. The reviews were sparkling on Fragrantica, and really the only thing that held me back on sampling testing this fragrance was simply the fact that I thought that I had this love-hate relationship with white florals. And as I've explored a little bit more, as I've gone down my fragrance journey, I think it's like anything else where there's some white florals I like and some that I don't. I don't think there's something about white florals that inherently bothers me about them. And as I've gotten to know them a little bit more, there are some that I absolutely love. And this is one of them. I'm so glad to have brought this fragrance in. I'm disappointed in myself for waiting so long, knowing that so many people thought this was a great fragrance. So this fragrance is warm. That's the best way I can find to describe it, but warm and sweet and maybe a little bit dark. The composition of this fragrance is intoxicating, it's alluring, it really is kind of addicting. So when I wear this, I get intoxicated by the scent bubble when I smell it. So one that I really enjoy at this point. The notes in here are vanilla, cashmere wood, cedar, and those give it a little bit of sweetness and depth. But what for me this really brings to the table is there's sort of a gourmand element. I don't think this one is classified as a gourmand. In fact, it looks like it's classified as an amber floral. For me, there's enough sweetness in here to trick my mind to think I'm smelling a gourmand fragrance. There's coconut, there's vanilla, there's mandarin, there is green apple in here that gives it a little bit of a kick. And yeah, this is definitely full bottle worthy for me. I love how that coconut plays in here. Some people say they don't smell it. Some people say they definitely pick it up. And I'm on this side. I am picking up the coconut in this scent. I love it in this scent, and it plays really nicely with all of the other notes in here. When I think about all of the fragrances that surprised me in the year 2021 so far, this absolutely falls into this category. Surprised how much I love it. Can't wait to wear it more. Again, that is Dolce & Gabbana, The Only One Intense. Okay, the next fragrance that I am so excited to have brought into my collection is Lipstick On by the Replica line. And to be honest with you, I've kind of gone back and forth with this fragrance. It has notes of iris, tonka bean, bourbon vanilla, patchouli, and that's what captivated my interest at first. I will say there was something in this fragrance that I wasn't so sure that I liked, and maybe that's why I was on the fence about it for a while. And as I sniff it and look at the notes, I'm not 100% sure what that is. I think it might be the galbanum. It has, when it's described on Fragrantica, it says intense, persistent, bitter green note type profile. And I'm wondering if that's what I smell in here that I'm not so sure about. As I've gotten to know the fragrance, I do love everything about it. It does have sort of a lipstick vibe, and it does have a little bit of a 90s vibe. I don't mean that in a way to make it sound outdated, because no, this is not outdated to me, but it takes you back a little bit. And what I would wear this fragrance for is a date night out when I wanted to feel attractive, I wanted to be pretty, I wanted to wear maybe a sexy dress and just have a great night out. Now, to be honest with you, the true experience I've had wearing this has been with yoga pants and maybe a t-shirt, but we're not back to the swing of normal life yet. Maybe I'll have the opportunity, hopefully I'll have the opportunity in the near term. Anyways, I think this is a great fragrance. I am so sadly disappointed that this is discontinued. In fact, when a fragrance gets discontinued, especially one like this that we enjoy, that fragrance enthusiasts love, it makes you want it even more. And so I did go into this deep exploration of other fragrances that might be like this, and I did see that there were some, like L'Ange Noir by Givenchy, L'Ange Noir, I'm probably saying that wrong, by Givenchy. There is French Kiss by Guerlain, and there's also Bellissima Parfum Intense by Blumarine. And so I was definitely intrigued by those other fragrance offerings that remind people of lipstick on, but I did see this come up at a price that was definitely at a premium, but still fairly reasonable in terms of what I had seen it out there for. So I just decided to pick it up. I love it that much. It's one that I have worn to dinner on a date night so far, and yeah, I just love the scent profile. It's like, it's unlike actually anything else that I have in my collection, and I really enjoy that about it. So that fragrance is Lipstick On from the Maison Martin Margiela line replica. Okay, the next fragrance that I wanted to give a try and learn more about is Kim Kardashian by Kim Kardashian. And I picked up, I think this is a ½ ounce fragrance. It was extremely inexpensive on Fragrance X. It was, less than $6. And I think you can actually pick up a full bottle of this fragrance for a very reasonable price. Like I've said before, this whole white floral thing that I've talked about, I have wanted to dig into different varieties of white florals to understand what I like, what I don't like, and learn more about them, to be honest. One fragrance that I've heard quite a bit about is Michael Kors by Michael Kors, and this one has been compared to that. Naturally, that's made me want to explore this one a little bit, and so I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about this fragrance. So, to me, it is very heavy on the white floral. I pick up tuberose, which I'm really learning to love, and gardenia. Those are the two notes that stand out the most to me by far. There is tonka bean, musk, sandalwood, orchid, some woodsy notes in here as well. So that will give it a little bit of depth and balance out those floral notes. But to me, it's sweet, not overly sweet, and not the type of white floral that I absolutely love. Now that being said, this is one that I would definitely explore a little bit more, play with on my skin, because I find this to be a beautiful scent. I really do. It's just not the kind that I gravitate towards the most. So I do need to learn a little bit more about it and understand the fragrance a bit more. For somebody who really enjoys white florals, for somebody who's a heavy tuberose fan, I do think this is probably one you should try because it's so inexpensive, it's completely low risk, and it's a good fragrance. It's, like I mentioned earlier with Dolce & Gabbana, The Only One Intense, I find that white florals tend to have a little bit of a sexy vibe to them, sometimes a heavy sexy vibe, and I get a little bit of that here too. I think if you're looking for a sexy date night fragrance, this might be a good one to check out as well. Again, that is Kim Kardashian by Kim Kardashian. All right, the next fragrance that I brought into my collection because I've been really curious about this brand. It's the Dua brand, and this fragrance is called Amberlicious Cherry. I had first heard about this fragrance by Sarah Mays. She had spoke about it on her channel. She had used it on a week when it was a little bit cool where she lives, and she liked it a lot. In fact, I think she loved it. So I was curious about it. I did go to the Dua website around that time, and I was deep in my exploration of Tom Ford Lost Cherry, understanding Fructus Virginis by Alexandria Fragrances. I really just wanted to explore Lost Cherry and all of the fragrances that are dupes or clones of it and see exactly which one I needed to bring into my collection. And sort of on a whim, I went ahead and bought this one because, I've never bought from the Dua line. I've been curious about it. I really wanted to get their Pop Cherry fragrance, which is an exact clone of Lost Cherry. However, they were sold out at the time, and so I went ahead and went with Amberlicious Cherry because Sarah Mays was convincing in her review and really made me want to check it out. Now, when I first spray this, the cherry is so delicious here. It reminds me of a grenadine or a cherry syrup. You pick that up right off the bat, and I love that scent profile. But there is so much more to it that balances that out. I get a deep ambery feel from it, and I think that's probably because this is a mixture of two different fragrances together. The two different fragrances that do a mix together is Lost Cherry, of course, that profile. This is a clone, and they mixed it with Ambre Narguil by Hermes. And I have only smelled that fragrance in sort of an oil form with a universal perfume oils dupe or fragrance oil. And so I'm not overly familiar with the scent profile, but I do know that I liked the oil that I bought and I thought it smelled lovely. So this is an incredibly done combination of those two fragrances, and definitely one I'd reach for. And there's a whole lot more going on in the notes profile than just that cherry. There's something that brings a lot of warmth to it, a little bit of nuttiness, and the notes in here include amber, honey, vanilla, bitter almond, caramel, cinnamon, Peru balsam, tonka bean. So I mentioned there's a lot of notes, but there's also a lot of really warm, cozy, comforting notes. So if you like fragrances like By the Fireplace, this does not smell like that. Or if you like Angel Share by Kilian, I think this might be one that you'd be interested in as well, because it brings that warmth and depth and coziness to the scent profile. I love this one. I think about this fragrance more as a cool weather type fragrance. I don't know if that helps anyone. I'll probably check it out here a little bit more in the summer. I've already tried it and I like it. A great fragrance, that is Amberlicious Cherry by the Dua brand. Now there's two other fragrances that I wanted to talk about here, and I actually bought the body sprays. Now, Ariana Grande has a bunch of different fragrances, of course, a couple that I still want to explore, but she also has these body sprays, and I love that about her fragrance line because it's sort of a low-risk way to check out the body sprays, see if you like them, and then if you do, maybe you want to go to something heavier and check out the actual perfumes of that fragrance. So the two I have here today is Moonlight by Ariana Grande, of course the body spray, and I have Sweet Like Candy by Ariana Grande. One thing I'll mention is that I went into Kohl's quite a while back and I sniffed a bunch of Ariana Grande fragrances. I already have a couple in my collection, and they're sweet, but they're really nicely done celebrity fragrances. I enjoy them, and you know, a lot of people might say that they are a little bit juvenile, but for me, you know, sometimes I'm just in the mood for something light, something easy, something easygoing, you know, so these fragrances give me that. I'll talk about each of them briefly and share my thoughts on them. And then I'd love to do maybe a more comprehensive review of REM and some of the other Ariana Grande fragrances once I get to know them a little bit more. So first up is Moonlight. And in this fragrance, there's plum and blackcurrant, and you get some dark fruitiness from this fragrance. There's also marshmallow in here, some vanilla, sandalwood, and amber to give it some warmth. And while this does have marshmallow in it, I do sort of prefer the marshmallow that I smell in Ari by Ariana Grande. I do prefer that fragrance a little bit more to this one. But this is a floral vanilla type fragrance. It is sweet and it's very likable. I think if you wore this, you know, most people would enjoy the fragrance profile. It's very nice, but of all of the Ariana Grande fragrances that I've tried, this is probably my least favorite. That being said, I still think it's probably a 6 to 7 out of 10. It is a nice one. It's one that you can wear when you want to feel lighthearted, or if you're younger, this would be a beautiful fragrance to wear. I think, you know, my niece, she is 12 and she loves Ariana Grande fragrances, including this one. So a great fragrance. All right, yeah, this is a great fragrance. It is nice. It's easygoing. You can pick these up between $7 and $10 at Walmart or on Amazon, and it's a fun way to try out new scent profiles, one that's low risk, and you know, I like it. So I think this would be one to check out if you like that dark fruity profile with a little bit of sweetness pulled in. Okay, the next fragrance that I wanted to try out is Sweet Like Candy by Ariana Grande. And once again, as I mentioned, this is the body spray, but it gives you an idea of what the original perfume might smell like. Just as the name suggests, this is sweet like candy. It is fruity, it's sweet, and I actually prefer this one to Moonlight, the other fragrance I just showed. There is whipped cream, marshmallow, and vanilla that contribute to that sweetness. And it is a nice mix of floral. So in here there is also frangipani, which is a floral that I really enjoy. There's honeysuckle and jasmine, and this one sort of reminds me of that smell when you walk into a trendy store, a trendy clothing store, and it just smells sweet and it smells fruity in there. This gives me a little bit of that vibe. And for that reason, I find it to be slightly generic. It's not totally unique, but it's also easy. It's an easy fragrance to reach for. It smells really nice. A lot of people will like this. And just another Ariana Grande fragrance that's done well. The last one that I want to get into my collection and explore a little bit more is REM. Then I'll feel like I have sort of a comprehensive view of what the Ariana Grande fragrances are. That's one I've tested out here and there at Ulta, but I don't really know the scent profile that well because I sprayed a bunch of fragrances and I didn't actually try it on my skin yet. So stay tuned if you guys are interested in that one. I'd love to do a review on it in the future once I pull it in. So curious guys, what do you guys think about lipstick on? Are there any other fragrances that give you that vibe, that give you that feel? I forgot to mention when I reviewed this one, but I am really curious about it because I do like the scent profile. Love the mix of iris, tonka bean, and vanilla. That just seems to work really well together in conjunction with other notes. So before I closed out, I just wanted to ask if anyone is familiar with this scent profile and knows other fragrances in that type of range, please, please, please let me know. I want to explore them and learn them. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing. And if you liked this video of new fragrances I pulled into my collection, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And until next time, I'll see you soon.